Call the meeting to order. Roll call, Mr. Parati. Mr. Accomando.
Present.
Mrs. Borelli.
Present.
Mr. Garrett.
Present.
Mr. Havison. Mr. Quinn.
Here.
Ms. Masello.
Here.
Mrs. Scannapieco.
Present.
Mr. White. Here. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all members of the Board of Education and to the Bergen Record in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, 1975. This time I'm going to turn the meeting over to Dr. Katz.
Thank you. A few updates tonight in the report. One thing I wanted to talk about was student emails. Recently, we've been talking a little bit about Google Classroom. I know I've shared that here and sent in some of the updates. We're conducting trainings and encouraging our teachers to start to use Google Classroom, which essentially is a tool that helps teachers organize assignments, communicate with students, allow students to collaborate with each other in real time. One of the things that's necessary in order for students to be able to do this is to give students their own email address, their own district email address. So we're looking at grades 5 through 12. At this point, we have a lot to work out with that. We're working through our board policies and working through our curriculum committee. We'll have to schedule an orientation for teachers, training for students, and then communicate all that information with parents before we enroll. So it is quite a process that will take a little bit of time, but I just want to put it out there so that people know it is something that we're looking at and working on. I've also been talking quite a bit about QSAC and some changes to QSAC that were in the legislature. They have now officially been approved and signed off on by the governor. So QSAC, the way it's worked in the past is that the review has three components. It's every 3 years, self-evaluation by the district, a review by the county office where they'll come out to the district and do a full visit, look through all of the scoring and adjust a district self-evaluation if they feel necessary, and then it's finally signed off in the end by the commissioner. For districts in the 5 areas that meet 80% or higher, they will be able to just submit a statement of assurance, which documents that they remain as being high performing. In lieu of a full QSAC review every 3 years, they would actually have a full QSAC review every 6 years. So it relieves a burden not only on the district but also on the department. They are starting that for the cohort that has is scheduled for QSAC this year. There are 204 districts in New Jersey that are scheduled for this year. They're looking to eliminate many of those, limit many of those based on this waiver. I'll talk a little bit more about our scores and our self-assessment from this year later in the agenda. But at this point, I do not anticipate that we'll be including the districts who have the waiver this year. We will have a full visit because we do not meet the criteria in all of those areas. So our goal really at this point is that next time that we will do this cycle, we want to be labeled as one of those high-performing districts. Something else I want to point out is, if you haven't seen it, if you don't have a student in the middle school or the high school, you may not have. I know I've shared the last two with the board. This all actually happens to be sitting here tonight. There's a new middle school, high school newsletter that's going out to parents on a bi-weekly basis. We've been really working hard across the district to increase some communication with parents and some newsletters similar to what we see in elementary schools. But I really want to thank you and commend Mr. Waller for getting that started. It's been really informative and it's been very well received by a lot of people. So thank you for doing that. On the topic of communication, as we went around for the referendum and had our nights at each of the schools, just in having conversations with parents on different topics, something that came up a lot. Parents had a lot of questions about PARC and about Common Core, about what it really means and what it really looks like in our schools. Not just from a local standpoint, but also on a national level. What are these shifts? We can continue to hear shifts in the Common Core. Aren't really sure of exactly what the PARC testing will look like. So what we're doing on January 15th here in the Media Center here is Christine Steiner and Christy Ball, our two complementary supervisors, are going to have a parent night, Common Core and PARC night. So we put that out in the last district update. We're going to get that onto our calendar and get some flyers home to promote that for parents. So hopefully anyone who has any questions or is interested in learning more about it can come out on January 15th for our Common Core PARC last thing that I want to mention is we've recently started collecting resumes in a different way. And the only reason I mention this is because we've had a lot of conversations about hiring practices and our hiring processes. This is really just another step for us in improving there. You may have seen, if you're in education, you may have seen something called AppleTrack, which is something that many school districts use to collect resumes and recruit applicants for open positions. This is something that we started. What we've done in the past is we just have an email address where people can send resumes to. But this is a system that is much better for us in collecting resumes and sorting them and tracking them and reviewing all of our resumes. Much better than our current setup. But the other thing that it does is it exposes us to more applicants, because as the number of districts use this essentially website or web host increases, applicants are there. When they go on to AppleTrack, they see what districts have vacancies, and once they complete an application, it's as simple as clicking the button, and then they see salary open and listed. So we'll definitely be able to expose us to more applicants and include their applicants for openings. Any questions on any of them? Moving into student services, there's 2 items there. Any questions on those? Mr. Bell provided the rationale there. Okay. In curriculum, the first item is the approval of 15 either new or revised courses here in the middle school and high school. And so Mr. Lawler is here tonight to share with us a presentation on really where, for the revisions, why we're having revisions, the new courses, where they're coming from, and how it all ties into the vision for our school.
The focus of this presentation is really on the arts side, particularly our two-dimensional art program, our photography program, as well as our student computer program and graphic design. This is really a tribute to our unified principles and how we're working with college, as well as the faculty that collaborated with it. This picture of our teachers, our art teachers, as well as really what it was, in many ways, you think of it as a kind of a repackaging and redesign of these programs. These are essentially existing classes that are now going to be aligned more with our mission to really prepare our students for college and career, to give them more competitive edge on graduating from Southwest High School. And really what it is in terms of part of education called career technical education, are taking these different courses and packaging them into a 3 or 4 year track. That really culminates at the end with an option to get college credit and really to walk out the door with professional portfolios that those students are competitive in one day to get a job or even build graphic design or marketing or visual arts. One of the additional bonuses to this is that the state recognizes these CTE programs and gives you options to apply for further funding. So continue building upon our programs to apply new software or new technology, and options to come out and build the resources of the state grants. So, for example, what I'll go through are some of the changes to our visual arts program first, followed by the new graphic design program. What you can see here is essentially the course is modeled very much like a college experience in many ways. So you have your introductory level or underlevel course, then you move up into the intermediate, followed by with your studio design course, and you walk out into a professional portfolio. What you see in red here are courses that are going to be new. But again, these are courses or skills and different types of courses that are probably covered in existing courses and are really now going to be articulated, as you can see by, let me say, 2.5 as a half-year course. So this would be Mr. Cole's art offerings. Some of the classes in ceramics. We've had these 2 films up in the art for years that have been kind of,
offline. So we're making an effort to prepare them and make them useful so they can now actually work on surroundings. Also, we see understanding comics as a way to bring literacy to the arts, graphic novels, how to write scripts, how to visually tell these stories. Those integrated literacy skills that we see in the also are doing in more art classes. In terms of photography, I would say I'm very proud of our photography program. And really what we're doing here is the biggest change to our photography program is giving students a chance to really focus either on the traditional photo techniques of darkroom or going into more of the digital side. And again, these are existing programs already. So we're articulating them and putting them into this 4-year track so that there's options to get that focus on the beginning. And here you see the culminating course here is the APCOR. And of course, we're going to build students some options, build a portfolio, and earn college credits while we're still here at Southwood High School. Finally, probably the biggest change of all the three is this new graphic design program. Now, currently we do offer a lot of these courses through things like computer apps or students hardworking with what we have called the building creative studio, using software applications like Photoshop and Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere, and all of these different graphic applications to produce content that you might see on your website. Whether on television or movie trailers, or movie opera trailers. This would be a 4-year track thing culminating with an internship, either within the building or out in the community. The students are networking and they're meeting people in the field, gaining valuable experience building new doors. So when we look at the impact and cost of this, there is no cost. This is done with existing staff members. It's done within their existing working budgets. Again, it's really more about repackaging and redesigning into their track that we've been talking about. The impact is very good. For our students to walk out our doors and go into any design house or marketing firm in the city and have a professional for using the tools that they use in the industry, puts them at a real competitive advantage. And then when you add to the top of that fact, there's a chance to get grants and other companies to go into the programs, it makes that much more enticing for this. So at this point, as I promised, I was going to keep it very clear and concise. This is just one department that we're seeing these fundamental changes. Also, in your package, there are foundations of our career tracks. You can go to STEM, you can go to humanities, you can go to global leadership, or opportunities for business experience. Also, having some more AP courses that you take across AP World History and AP Environmental Science, which is great about those two courses. That's basically option to recommend to our high school. That's no challenging experience for us that on the basis of 2% a year to take those two classes. That's just totally work our history curriculum to do that. Starting in 8th grade. That's that world history. And then the transition from high school to continue that course and then to extend into the freshman. So anyway, that's the opportunity for something to happen in the district. So again, thanks for all your support. So you can tell we'd love to be here to tell you more about the different tracks. However, he's chaperoning the trip to the chorus, so he's actually probably on plane as we speak right now from that Florida. So again, we're always here to answer any additional questions. We invite them to come in, see our cultural programs, see our art programs, see our graphic design programs, and just see what we do for you guys. Thank you for your time. Any questions that have not been answered?
No questions. Comment from the chair on John. It looks great. I mean, I think obviously to be able to get so much and position our students so well for no increase in budget, no increase in staffing is really icing on the cake. But I think it sets us up really well. It's pretty exciting, and I bet the students are going to be really excited about these opportunities next year as well. Thank you.
Again, part of this is about trying to create opportunities for these students, but you actually have to do visual arts with opportunities. Things that are interested in creating law enforcement, we put together a career track for that. All the different business that have a track for that. So really find out what you're interested in and really help them maximize their students to walk out.
Thank you, the chair. Just to piggyback on Marilyn, it is really exciting to see that kind of every student's going to have some kind of pathway to choose from. As far as the photography, my daughter's in the class, and it's not just picture taking. The special effects and things that it amazes me. And she's only been in the class in September. It's her first experience, and it's quite impressive. So, it's doing a great job of the program. Yeah. Very, very excellent program she has. My daughter's very enthusiastic about that class. Yeah, it's nice to see. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Morrow. Our second item in that section is the approval of progress target action plans from Franklin School and Smith School. As you saw in the presentation last month from Christine Steiner, Kristen Ball, and Andre asked test scores, we can list some targets in those schools which require them to make an action plan. Essentially, the action plans are a reflection of all the changes that we made for this year anyway. It includes things like the additional instructional time in our schedule, the RTI periods, the remodeling of our basic skills and intervention programs, all things you've heard about, additional teacher planning time, and our professional development goal this year. All of those are part of our action plan, so we didn't have to go back for this requirement to do anything different than we were already doing. So hopefully all of the interventions and all the changes that we put in place are going to start to show progress, not only towards these targets, but towards everything we're working for this year. Business and board, any questions on 1 or 2, which is workshops? If not, Ray, can I ask you to speak to items 3 through 6?
I think, here to the board, the references, item 3 is any notifications for confidential prescription benefits, which is out there, the process questions. Number 4 and number 5 are the annual items for audit. We just finalized audit. We have 3 items. After the comprehensive annual financial study is the bigger book. Small one is the management report, and there's also a financial support which the public has as well. We will go over that Wednesday. The parliament is to discuss the order and review and answer any questions you may have Wednesday. And the first action plan, I'll be finalizing that. We one recommendation, and we have that in tomorrow. Item number 6 is a joint transportation contract and receive the rate from underwriters for the students that for school and that several years ago where the district. Mr. Chair?
Going back to item number 3, what is the timeline for having to pretty much switch brokers in order to be able to have them help us in the search for new insurance for the following year?
We hope to get it turned around within 30-day notice. So by the time we involve the negotiations which are coming up,
A change in broker doesn't necessarily equate to a change in insurance. It's really helping us
Correct.
do the best way.
Right. We have to have the one to go towards the second.
Item 7 is the approval of our district performance review for QSAC, which is what I spoke about earlier. Just to take you through, and the board has in the packet full breakdown of all the indicators, but just to view our scores in each of those areas. Instruction and program 80 As I said earlier, 80 is the score, a year above for the state considers districts to be highly performing. For an instruction program, in our self-review, we had a score of 78. This really didn't come as any surprise because we've been talking now for a long time about our deficiencies in the area of our curriculum. And that's what we're working to update. So we realized that we've been lacking there and we've been addressing it and we're going to continue to do so. Our score for fiscal management was 98 out of 100. There was one indicator that we missed, which was with regard to timelines for submission of state or federal grants and reports. There was one report that was filed 1 day late. But again, if we're scoring ourselves the way we should, then we do not give ourselves credit for that. And when the state comes to do the on-site report, they may say, well, you submitted it, it was one report, it was 1 day late, we'll give you credit for that. But I think we'd always rather be in a situation where we're scoring ourselves a little more strictly and allow them to bump our score up as opposed to the opposite. In governance, we had a score of 88. There was one indicator. All the point values are different because each of them has different numbers of point values. In governance was 88. There was one indicator we did not give ourselves credit for, and that relates to having the appropriate professional development plans, curriculum plans in place. So it's really connected to the instructional program. It was one and the same, but the indicators overlap between the two. In operations, we had 100 out of 100. And in personnel, personnel has 5 indicators. We did not give ourselves credit for 1, so 4 out of 5 equates to 80. Again, this is in an area that we've made all of the necessary changes that we need to make. QSAC is a 3-year look back, so it doesn't include this school year. It's last year and the 2 years prior to that. So we are, again, we have addressed the items in that area of personnel, and I think there's a pretty good chance that when the state comes to do the review here, we will have credit for it. But again, have them move us up and have them first look at. So that's the scores that we're proposing for the first stage. Policy is all second readings, so there's nothing new from our discussion last month. Committee reports?
Yes. Buildings and grounds met middle of last month. As of this point, all the HVAC projects that were in process, new compressors and controllers are all complete. All of these old outstanding permit issues that we discovered many months ago have been complete. We are now staying current with all permits as the work comes up. The Smith man trap is complete. The facilities has completed the winterizations of the sprinkler system. They've overseen the fields. And I'd like to thank the Township DPW for all of their help with all of the leaves and the mulch pile. And lastly, in January, I believe on January 22nd, Smith School will be having a nutrition fair event. And the students, in addition to learning about nutrition, will be able to sample some new items for a possible menu improvement.
I just want to mention that the township is in the process of excavating and clearing up the Veterans Field, and we were able to have a big pile of clay that they gave to the school.
Yes, we're working with the township and hopefully we'll also let us install over.
I'll speak on referendum maybe in Angela's absence. Obviously, the referendum vote is tomorrow. The polls are open from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m., so we encourage everyone to come and vote. As all of the flyer and informations have been going around, everyone should know that it's very important because this actually gives us a one-time opportunity to actually pay for all of these projects, and they are needed projects. It's not like it's fluff projects. All of these needed projects, 40% would be funded by the state. which is a significant savings to the district. So again, just encourage everybody to go out and vote for the referendum tomorrow. Thank you.
Committee reports, correspondence, provided you have a letter from
in October, the board approved the required comprehensive unit plan for approval to submit to the town office, and that's the letter you just received back.
Sure. Update on our guidance goal. There were two pieces to our guidance. Well, there are two pieces to our guidance goal. One of them is about implementing school-wide character education programs in the elementaries and middle school. Last month, you heard all about the Long School program. We made it representative. Mr. Marcasani did a presentation specifically on that. Our counselors are now working to focus on getting expanding what currently exists at Franklin School. They have now and have had for years monthly themes, very specific character traits that they focus on throughout the year. And what the counselors are working on now is building on that to add a second component of sort of that being good piece that we heard about last month. And some other schools too. So building on what already is a great foundation for a program, just trying to expand it a little bit. College and career readiness. Portion of the guidance goal. Last week, the counselors had a junior student meeting as well as an evening meeting for all the junior parents. If you read our high school newsletter, you saw also that this week all of our freshmen, sophomores, and juniors are completing a career exploration program in Naviance, and we really made an effort over the last year to expand our use of Naviance because it's an outstanding tool and having really have to use for all its capabilities. And our elementary counselors have set the next two coffee with the counselor dates. It's Thursday, January 22nd, and Thursday, April 30th. I know we're just getting more information about that. The January night is going to focus on identifying bullying behaviors. So it's really, the whole goal is about building college and career readiness, but it's also, that's for students, but it's also about connecting with parents as well. Starting to have parents be connected to the school in ways that they haven't before. Our professional development goal has two pieces. One is new teachers. We had another new teacher meeting today, actually. Seems to work out. Our training dates coincide with the teaching meetings. Today, the training for new teachers is actually on Google Docs and Google Classroom and Google Apps for Education. And so we're continuing those monthly meetings for all of our new teachers. And again, we have 17 new certificated staff members in the district, which includes child study team members and speech, so it's not all classroom teachers. But there are 17, which for us is a significant amount. We're also having individual meetings with all of them over the next month that I'm meeting along with each of their principals. And have a mid-year check-in with all of our new staff members on what's going well, what some challenges they've been experiencing, talk about how we can continue to or better support them. We really want to make sure that our new staff members are thriving, just surviving that first year. Our early dismissal day, we have another early dismissal day on Monday. Staff development, and again, I'll thank the board for adding those into the calendar because they have really been, that time is always a precious resource. It's been a tremendous addition to our district to be able to spend this time with all of our staff, not just our teaching staff. One of the messages that we've really been trying to put out this year is that we have a plan. I've said this phrase over and over again. We have a plan for students. I've heard so much feedback over the last year from people that in the past there were new initiatives, and they would get something underway, and then it would fizzle out, and then the next new thing would be introduced. And I try to make it as clear as I can. I know our whole leadership team does too. That is not the case. We spent all of last year building a vision, identifying what those things are that we want to accomplish. And now we have this plan in place, and we're going to see it through. So kind of in that vein, what's happening next Monday, the sessions that the teachers will be participating in, all build on what we've already started. So for example, we've talked a lot about the need for the curriculum revision process. So So all of our math teachers, pre-K through 12, during a portion of this, we're going to complete skill surveys. And that's the first step in identifying what are those essential skills at all levels of math that our students need to know. And that's going to be a spark for the next step of the curriculum writing process. All of our language arts teachers are going to continue to talk about PARC and what that PARC test looks like. But more importantly, it'll be very specifically focused on text-dependent questions. And so when we talk about questions that they're going to face on PARC, it's also what just good instruction looks like in a language arts and English classroom. And that's training that we started on election day when we had our staff development, and this is something we're going to now continue here. Our 7-12 STEM teachers also on election day work together to look at the new science standards and to look at the new Common Core standards for math and how they can be blended, how those teachers can support each other and develop their lessons and their units together. So we're going to have time to continue doing that. And then similarly looking at other subject areas. Our phys ed department has been working on Project Adventure for over a year now, and we're going to continue to develop those lessons both in this building as well as in the elementary schools. And they're working with our guidance counselors. Project Adventure is really all about team building, character development. So it blends in with those guidance lessons. Our art teachers on their last professional development day, K-12 art teachers, started a portal where they could share all their lessons together. And there was two things they wanted to accomplish. One was to be more in sync with each other and have a more fluid K-12 program. The other was they wanted to try to do a better job of, or give more attention to, integrating what they're doing with what's happening in the regular classroom. So they're going to continue that one that they've started. Our music teachers, as you know, we restructured our elementary music teachers this year so that they're each assigned to a building instead of specifically band or specifically chorus. And so as part of that, we know we provide them with time, and we have time next Monday to continue that. So I mean, that's just kind of a sampling of what a lot of people do. But the point there is that we really are trying to hear from teachers on what it is that they need, how we can support them, and set up the structures that are going to do that. They're going to help us reach the vision. Our fourth goal is about improving the quality of our evaluations, and we've had 2 sessions already with our leadership team. Our third session is coming up soon. That is focusing on feedback in the observation process. We have that scheduled not next week. As I said, the week after, but I think that would be quick already. So and our fifth goal is our security goal. We've already adjusted our visitor procedures at the beginning of the year. So our next focus is now going to be on the lockdowns and trying to refine all of our lockdowns.
Speak about the reorganization.
Yes, and that reorganization meeting needs to take place on January 7th. So we're looking at January 5th, 6th, or 7th, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, right after New Year's, to hold a meeting, swear the new elected trustees. We're good with those dates too, so the rest of the support members are going to be here.
Through the chair, I'm not available on the 7th.
So far, it looks good. It's 6 or 7, right?
5th or 6th.
Bobby, you good?
Yeah. Any preference for the Monday?
Monday works best for me, but I'm available either Monday or Tuesday.
Can we go Monday, 7 o'clock?
Yes. That's a bit.
January 5th, 7 o'clock, the media center of our reorganization.
Members of the audience,
And it's not going to be at 7 o'clock?
yes. Any other new business? none, I'm going to need a motion to open the meeting to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Residents are requested to state their names, addresses, and subject matter. In the event it appears the public comment portion of the meeting may exceed 45 minutes, the presiding officer may limit each statement made by participants to 5 minutes duration. Issues raised by members of the public may or may not be responded to by the board. All comments will be considered in response to the report coming together when appropriate. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of rights of other individuals who speak. Specifically, comments regarding students and employees of the board are discouraged and will not be responded to by the board. Students and employees have specific rights afforded by laws of the church. The board bears no responsibility nor will be liable for any comments made by members of the public. Members of the public should consider their comments in light of the legal rights of those affected or identified in their comments, and be aware that they are legally responsible and liable for their comments. Anyone from the public should be heard. Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, sir.
Not much to say. Omar Rodriguez, 275 Madison Avenue. First and foremost, I'd like to congratulate you and give you out. First on the full day. Now it's the new one of that. And that's what I'd like to congratulate you. You've done it for many years. Wonderful job. On the new one. The comments from the people my thing is that I'm taking consideration of those so they can see the facts and I'm having a problem that they actually do really good. Actually, bias and then actually the overall and then through the chair, I would like to once the elections are over, I understand it should be a little bit, not should be a little person, you teach there, you go style, not really the goals maybe, but other business should be able to be forward to those two numbers. Due to the fact that those two numbers are forward to the field. With these new projects, new ideas, new components of the curriculum, I'm just wondering under whose direction those numbers have not been seen out. That's the basic. Because if someone one of the new numbers can just over the document is instead, it's not fake. They should just get it. Because we are the ones that are going to be dealing with a project in excess of $32 million. Don't expect those new numbers because overnight just coming into the role of the bias and just learn and know what's going on. But by seeing the packaging, you can get it equal. So to the chair, if I can just ask the recommendation of the legal lawsuits or anything related to this. But after that, I will go.
You've been
regular communication with all the newly elected board members. If any of them have an issue with the information that we shared, I would ask them to please.
Chair, one thing before the country is responsible for actually working.
I don't know that you're fully aware of all the communications that we have, but again, if a newly elected board member has a concern with how they've been treated since then, I would ask that they let me know that.
You are going to go to the bank and you don't have to start realizing the function, your status. You are, and don't hold your eyes.
Oh, I didn't roll my eyes at you.
Oh, that's the fact. This is true. The board members are elected by the people for the people. And you don't have to come down a little bit because basically that board members don't have to call you. They have to get one of us on the board. Listen, they don't have to call you. You have to make it hours in order for them to understand what's going to happen. They don't have to go away. With the package on their hand, that should be enough for them to review what subjects or what policies are going to change and if they have to report them. And again, I hope that you just an overlook, an oversight, I just want to put it away. When possible, I would just like to give a recommendation. For one, you are not one person, I would just like to give a recommendation for the rest of the members that are going to stay here to release them to satisfy Mr. Katz to draw a resolution that in the future, for all those new elected members, packages should be sent out without any compromising document related to the voting rights. If that satisfies Mr. Katz, because then again, the new numbers are going to be at a disadvantage. Comes January 1st, 4th, or 5th, whenever you want to schedule the first meeting, how are we going to inform in something that they are not going to be able to memorize? One thing is to let them know we're going to be this, we're going to be that, but another thing is to have the documents. Don't expect no one to memorize all these policies and procedures. So let's just be a little more basic, transparent, actually more basic. Actually, just try to work to get the only open information. Let's not try to be or pretend to be very relevant or just a person that you don't have to come to. So with that, we'll just look at what's happening, just closely. I like how this Katz is on. I would just like to pick up with comment on something that you just mentioned. And I hope that through the chair, if you was answer, you just said that the applicant's message will be able to just go to the website and say, do you have any openings? My question is, how, since it's going to be open to all applicants throughout the state, how are candidates? My question is, how are the vendors being selected? How are the professionals being selected? If you take back the service, where do you apply? Who is the person that actually get a say and who gets hired and doesn't get hired? At the end of the day, if you go to that note, I just want to ensure that the new members and all members understand you, the professionals that are working for salary, you as a business administrator, actually just serve in the advisory role. You shouldn't be the one to determine the process of who gets hired. It's up to the board, the members, to decide how does it work. It could be 2,000 applicants, and it's up to the board to do that. But 5 runners for an interview, you shouldn't be the professionals in the state that the employees are trying to select or recommend. They should be up to the board, because at the end of the day, the ones that they get actually criticized or earn credit will be the board of education.
how is the process right now, how is it working? Mr. Tax just mentioned about the applicants, in the future, the positions in town, that will be open, the website state, so I would like to know how currently the vendors, I said for instance, we can have efficient, how will efficient get selected? How many electricians do we have before? My school says that we got 3 electricians available. We don't have lights 2 weeks before. It's not available for mention. It's not available for mention. What is the proper procedure there?
I'd like to go back to your first comments. First of all, I'm aware of my role, so thank you. If you'd like to have a discussion about board role versus superintendent role, I'd be happy to sit and have a conversation with you on that. But again, going back to our new board members, there is a lot of communication with our board members. There's personal meetings that have been occurring. So again, I believe that they are fully informed. They will be by the time they take over. And again, if they have any issues with it, I would like them to reach out and let me know that the type of communication and sharing that we've had is not sufficient. As far as what you're asking with regard to AppleTrack, that's for, you're asking about vendors, it's not for vendors. People who apply for employment within the district. It's not, but you referenced an electrician. An electrician would not apply for something through AppleTrack. AppleTrack is for personnel, not vendors.
Maybe I misstated or I just didn't have the basic. Just mentioned Apple. Just looking for some question. That is wrong because the school is going to be and you're going to open it through the website and say that there's more people who apply for the job. That's fine. That's one thing of the story. And now tell me how we're going to handle it. How should we handle it when it comes to that right now? If you're talking about applicants and employees, that is fine. I understood. Now I got some questions. How actually are the vendors being selected?
You can see that.
Anything to share?
Yeah, vendors, we select them, we follow New Jersey statutes 18A. There's certain thresholds that we have to follow. If they're over a certain dollar amount, we obtain quotations. If they're over another certain dollar amount, we have to go out to publicly bid for it, advertise in the newspaper, and stuff that way.
We have the records right now, lives are not on, or that kids not on. We're not going to somebody okay. How do we select who's the vendor that will have those services? It's not working. We're not going to wait to do that. We're not going to wait to go to state contract. It's just, do we have a list? And do we have a list? How is it being provided?
We do have vendors. If we can't do it in-house, we do have contractors that are on call, that are bid through other state agencies that are, we've been bid for. So you can call them up and have them come over and do the work that's necessary. You don't have to advertise in this, but they're going to take it.
Isn't that a service contract?
You could have service contracts too with, standing time and materials too.
Here, let's go back to the phone. Those service contracts are annually, by a term, how does it work?
Usually it depends on the service is and how much the dollar amount is. And done annually, quotations, bids.
Also, there's less time.
No. I mean, the standard just is thresholds.
Well, standard is that it's not separate. Because of the type of money.
Type of job, type of money.
So it's not standard.
One last suggestion then. New board members in the year, it should be a standard and formal bid or request for all the members, regardless of the amount of money. It should be open and equal to everyone, and it should be advertised and published on the website. So respond to Mr. Rodriguez to your question about the newly elected board members getting the packet. I've been on the board for 3 years. It's never been our policy to do that. So, I don't think we ever did. Give them out as a matter of routine. But I'd like to say it is interesting what you bring up. As you all know, I'm the mayor-elect, and the town governing body, they do supply me and two other council persons that got elected with taxes. There's nothing regarding personnel, minus personnel, and council litigation. But I just want to say that it is nice to become, I'm happy that I'm getting those packages because it does allow me to become familiar with the information, the agenda, the process. And there's a lot of information that ahead of time that I'm looking at and processing, which I feel is a help. So I don't know legally, I guess, why we don't. It's really hasn't come up. I think one time it did. I think when Mr. Quinn got on the board here in Westwood. But I don't know. I don't see a problem. Like, I like it going on to the governing body, but I don't know if legally is something that restricts the elected board members from getting it, or is it just that it's never been our policy to do so?
Yeah, I can't speak to the specific documents that have been involved in that because I don't know the specifics of that. But in general, prior to being appointed to the board and taking the seat, you would be entitled to any information that is available to any member of the public. So all public information would be available prior to that person being seated as a board member.
That's also the reason, as I was saying, for the personal meetings. We actually had a meeting earlier tonight with Paula and our new board members to go over some board procedures and some more official things. I have personal meetings set up with each of them to answer any questions, for me to be able to share information, and to catch them up personally on what's happened over the last year and a half since I've been in the district. Talk about all of our initiatives, talk about the budget, talk about policies and questions they might have, what they see as priorities in the district. To me, that personal conversation, that time spent together, is more valuable than the fact that
you're right. That's something that Dr. Katz, since you've been here, you've been doing that. The prior superintendent is not that. I know that myself when I came on, I was pretty much cold. So it is nice to get your feedback on how to do it. It's a good thing to do like board to become familiar with how to do it. So that's all.
Chair, I do believe we are basic. I do believe we are a good team, so I find offense to that. If you just look through the district, what has happened. It's all positive. So.
Anyone else?
So, through the chair, as a new board member or finishing my first year, I do appreciate much of the time Dr. Katz has spent personally, and I did feel very prepared. The first night that, I took my oath and thereafter, any questions, it's a great team. And so I do agree it was much more beneficial personally sitting and speaking and having the opportunity to ask questions. And, I attended many board meetings and having all of the information up until it was much better sitting personally with him. And I thank him for the time, the mentorship, and everything else that he's brought to his district.
Anyone else want to talk?
Both sides, I feel I'm forced to speak since I am one of the officials that are doing certain. I understand Mr. President because I'm talking to the situation. I don't really know that much. So I don't magnify it, not at all. Where I think the problem is now, I
think we have to vote on the budget. I did really terrible. We don't have to vote on the budget. So that alleviates my of law stuff that since you want to do stuff. We used to do our elections equally, which made life a lot easier. We have all summer coming in mid-year. It might be something that you want to think about when you do it. Because I think it would be beneficial coming in mid-year so that people are coming on to actually and I just must say, the last time the next three years I haven't done, I'm sure that I haven't always.
Anyone else? Sure.
All my review is 275 miles an hour. I did understand what Mr. Hernandez said about teaching or whatever. All I want to say is the team referring to the employees, the newcomers, the new board members. I believe that in between is a layer that is not understanding who worked for who. And that's all what I'm just saying is the fact that basically the employees work for the board. It's nice I'm imagining able to say that he's trying to do it himself. But what about him? You go over the money. They don't see. They don't have the money. It's not that they don't want to serve. It's just they don't have the money to go. So then what happened to those poor workers? Or the time that's convenient for you is not convenient for them. Or they don't want to see it over. So let me ask you then one last question, if that's the chair. Have you met every single newly elected board member?
Reached out and tried to contact everyone. We corresponded with everyone.
Met with each of them.
Not at this point.
Not at this point. Okay. You see, that's all what I'm asking. We have to work also on the agenda. And they skip it. Once again, I think even if we have to come to policies and procedures and things like that, we can have to do it. Actually, we're taking the employees and the comments. And now it's up to you guys, if you want to take a request for the new year that makes basically on the policies and procedures, maybe something to follow up with a newly elected member. Because we should get a package once they become elected. So that we're going to send them Thank you very much. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, all of the celebrations, especially in this better year 2000. Thank you.
Mr. Roberts, is that anyone else? I see none. The motion to close the meeting to the public.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? This time I need a motion.
Through the chair, before we go close, I would like to actually make a couple of comments before we move to close. As President White had indicated, I have served on the Board of Education for close to 7 years now. I've seen a lot of board members come and go. I myself was new at one point in time. All of the agendas and our meeting minutes are public on the website. Anybody who is coming to be a Board of Education member, when you begin to think about it, you should really start going to meetings. You should start getting your information. You should be going on the website. You should be pulling off the agendas. You should formulate your questions. And once you are elected, you should reach out to the Board of Education president, and you should reach out to the superintendent, and you can schedule a meeting to review anything you would like to. They will discuss with you what they can legally. As it was stated before, and what we have done in the past, there are legal obligations. We cannot share information with any incoming board member until they take their oath. I'm not the lawyer, but I'm sure Paula will look into this. This is what we've gotten from our previous legal counsel and Isabel and lawyers before, because it has come up often. It is important to get the information up front, but it's important to invest in the time to get that information. So I encourage the new board members to do that. They can reach out to any, as I said, sitting board member, and we can guide you on where to go or who to ask. We work very well as a team, we always have. And I know, although I won't be here, I know that the board members who are staying on will welcome the new board members with open arms, and they will help you, and they will assist you. I encourage you to ask your questions, as I said, and you'll get that information. Additionally, one of the things I had done when I was Board of Education president was I actually appointed a new incoming Board of Education liaison. That during my year was Bob Nagle. Bob Nagle also additionally, since he was so long on the SAA here, whatever you want to call us, on Board of Education, probably I think 13 years or so. He was a great resource for them. So as a buddy system, for lack of a better term, if they had any questions, you were able to go to Bob first, call him, or we also set up some meetings if they wanted to meet. So I would encourage whoever the next Board of Education president is that will be elected and nominated and elected at the reorganization meeting, they might want to consider that when you are incoming board members. Having 3 of them is a lot. And I know that the remaining board members may not be a lot of years built up, but we've all gone through it initially, and it can be a little bit scary, but you'll get it. It works. Ask your questions, and it'll go smoothly. With that said, I want to thank everyone who I've served with in the past and on the current, and with all the support that they've given me. I felt we've made a lot of accomplishments, and we've really gone very far in the district as a whole. I've seen a lot of change in 7 years. I've seen a lot of administration turnover. I've been a part of bringing on multiple superintendents and principals. And to that point, also with respect to our hiring process, that has gone leaps and bounds. We have a process that's in place. We have a process that the board agrees on with respect to how we go about having candidates screened and who's going to screen them and who does the round 1s and who does the round 2s and how many actual candidates for certain positions we want brought to the Board of Education. And we go through a process of asking questions that we want to ask to ensure that the district gets the best quality candidates. We've done that a lot the past year and a half because we've had significant positions turn over from principals to administrators to supervisors to superintendent. And we've worked well with doing that as well. So I think organizationally, we know very well what the role is of the Board of Education. We know very well what the role is of our superintendent. And I've been honored that the public has elected me and I've served for the past 7 years. Thank you.
Through the chair. Quick comment. Yes, I'm finishing my 2nd year on the board now, and I did ask for packets. When I was running, there was no easy process to get all the information that is available to board members coming in now. The agendas are kept up to date. We're on video. The answer, as Marilyn said, is until you're sworn in, you can't have anything more than the common public has. Secondly, just because someone has been elected does not mean necessarily they will be sworn in. They can either choose not to be, or they also have to go through a background check. Things happen. But if you pay attention to the meetings, you look at the agendas, you're not missing much, other than stuff that is, due to legal reasons, can't be shared. Nothing's being held from you. You're not going to have this power stuff that you don't know if you paid attention to the meetings and the agendas. Okay, so feel comfortable. And I agree with Marilyn. I used Bob Nagle a lot my first year. He was a great mentor, and I hope you guys all will have the same person feel comfortable reaching out for them because it makes your first year easy.
Thank you. Anyone else? I just want to say that I was glad that Mrs. Sullivan brought up about the organization policy because we do that. This year, I didn't sign them in for liaison. But what I did was I talked to each one of them, incoming board members. They would come to me and I actually sat down with them and spoke to them and answered the questions. As I said earlier, Dr. Katz was fantastic with really getting them up to familiar with what we do. So there is an orientation process that I strongly recommend the president this year do the same thing. Himself or herself, whoever the president, sit down with you, like the board member, or as Mrs. Sullivan, she the president, sign a mentor or a This time, I need a motion to go into closed session, to recess the closed executive session to discuss personnel, contract negotiations, pending anticipated litigation, and matters covered by the attorney-client privilege per New Jersey statute 10:4-6, section of the Open Public Meetings Act. Subject matter discussed may be disclosed to the public if and when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Action may be taken when the board reconvenes the open session.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This time we're going to go into closed session. Just like to wish everybody a happy holiday. Also, don't forget to vote tomorrow.